Hello and welcome to the Kick in the Creatives podcast, hosted by myself, Sandra Busby, and my fellow creative Tara Roskell, offering you interviews, inspiration, motivation, and a gentle prod in the right direction. And for lots more information, challenges, and other useful tools to help you get creating, you can go to www.kickinthecreatives.com. And of course, this is where you can also find today's show notes. Enjoy the show. Welcome to today's episode, and today we're talking about using your sketchbook to have fun and to explore rather than thinking of it as an art form in itself. But before we get onto that, we want to say a huge thank you to Maureen Ballard and Peter for your latest support on Ko-fi. We always really appreciate our Ko-fi supporters because not only does it help us towards the costs of running Kick in the Creatives, but it also shows that you like what we do. So thank you. And we also want to thank everyone who's been sharing their work with us on social media. First of all, I want to say good luck to Carrie Finney, who has not long started the Kick 365 challenge. And I think that has to be the ultimate commitment, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I was amazed because she started it and then missed a day, so decided she was starting again.
I know, I couldn't believe it. I was like, well, that is commitment.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It really is. But yeah, hats off. Anyone taking on that challenge, yeah, good luck to anyone doing that.
Hang on a minute, you did this last year.
I did, and it is a real commitment. It really is. And I was
Did
doing
you lapse?
I was doing Felicity Fizz as my daily, and she didn't post every single day, but I did do something art related every single day.
That's
but
good.
I was painting obviously at the same time, so yeah.
Are we letting you off for that then, are we?
Well, I think so. Carrie, if you do lapse one day, don't worry. Just pick your pencil up the next day. Sometimes life gets in the way and it can't be helped, can it? But yeah. Sana Sira, she's been creating some really gorgeous pages for Art Journal January. And she started watching some gardening programs, which inspired some really uplifting pages, promising the whiff of spring, which I'm sure all of us, at least here in the UK, cannot wait for, because I am so fed up with this miserable weather we're getting. I don't know what it's like in where you are, Tara, but here it's foggy, it's that misty rain, it's cold, and we didn't even get any of the white stuff. Everyone else in the whole world seemed to get snow. Did you get it?
Yeah, we got about 4 inches or something. Yeah,
it's really
the
strange.
most we've had in years.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow! Because it's really odd, because where I live, it's like up on a ridge, so if anywhere you usually get snow, it's going to be us because we're kind of high up. But no, not even a sprinkle. So I was really disappointed because at least it would give us something to do while we're not allowed out, making a snowman or something. The other person I noticed as well, I noticed everybody, but I loved Catherine C. Slater's pages too for the Aqua January challenge. And I really always enjoy Catherine's work. What about you, Tara? What has caught your eye?
Well, I really like Esther Arroyo's self-portrait. She's been in those for Aqua January. I don't know if you've seen them, but she's been really experimenting with different angles. She's been using a mirror to draw, which is so difficult, doing a self-portrait with a mirror, because obviously you've got to move your head to look at your paper, haven't you?
Yeah. So
really tricky one, but she's been doing some interesting colour combos and some interesting angles. I've really liked those. And then also Imaginings by Karen. That's an Instagram name. She's done some fantastic abstract photos in nature. And I'm in awe as well, because she's been going out and the temperature there one morning, she said, was -18.
Oh, I know. That is unbelievable.
I wouldn't even want to get my hands out my pockets in my gloves.
No.
And stuff like that. No.
I'm a fair weather walker myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't actually be a fair weather walker because I have a dog, but I don't like walking in the cold, I must admit. So is Karen the one that's been doing those gorgeous like pictures of tree roots and things like that?
Well, she got one where the one that really stuck in my mind was where she's got like a reflection of something. I don't know if it's water, but that's through the middle of bits of something else. I don't know if it's trees or something around the outside.
Yeah. Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, and there's been so many people taking part in that challenge, and it's been really interesting. Yeah.
Anyway, what is new with you?
Well, not a lot of painting going on at the moment, because I'm still waiting for my canvases to come back into stock. And I don't know if it's Brexit or COVID or both probably, but I've never had a problem getting my canvases before, but apparently they're not coming in now until mid-February. It was the 21st of January, and 21st of January came and went, and then I got an email saying your item is not in until 19th of February. So I'm hoping that's not going to be an ongoing problem, because you know when you find that material that you just love to use, you don't want to change it, do you? You're used to it. And I did sort of have a look at some alternatives, but to be honest, there seems to be a shortage across the board of various types of canvas. So I don't know what's going on there. But if it doesn't come in by the 19th of February, I'm going to have to just try something else, because it's a commission. So I've got, and it's a big commission, as in like a big painting, but it'll be nice to get my teeth into that. So until then, I've just been concentrating on drawing, and it was nice the other day, wasn't it? Because we'd arranged a Zoom draw and chat session for our Facebook group, and it gave us a chance to spend some actual face-to-face time with some of our members. But it's funny though, because, you know, I'm not used to company when I draw, apart from when we go out sketching together. So talking and drawing was kind of unusual for me, but we definitely want to arrange another one sometime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do that either. I don't draw with anyone else.
No.
So it was and what was kind of weird was on screen, and Margaret Gray, I do apologise because I didn't realise it was you, which was slightly daft because you'd put MAGGR.
Oh, yeah.
And being a bit dim at the time, I obviously didn't twig it. And I don't think you did either, did you?
Well, no, because a lot of people in our group, it's like, like our Instagram, we have an Instagram page, and a lot of the followers on the Instagram have their Instagram names, and one of them's Imaginings by Karen. And of course, when she came onto the FaceTime session, she was just Karen, and I hadn't sort of married the two together, and it wasn't until afterwards I was like, oh, that it was you.
I know, crazy.
What about?
But I do find those things. Because when I get a bit nervous about doing stuff, I get nervous before. Like I was nervous all day that we were going to do that, even though I suggested it.
Really?
And, yeah, I get really nervous, and then I talk too much.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
You always tell me I talk too much, so you're
know,
finally
you do as
admitting.
well.
You're finally admitting. It's all you.
We both do.
Anyway, what about you? What is new with you?
Well, obviously, I did that chat and Zoom with you.
Yes, you did.
And that, I have to admit, was about the first bit of drawing I'd done since Christmas, which is terrible because I'm supposed to be setting an example here. And I just did a bit of doodling. I bought one of those. Well, no, actually, didn't buy it. I got it as a present for Christmas. One of those Lammy Joy, the calligraphy pens, the fountain pen that you recommended.
How are you getting on with it?
I don't really like it.
Oh no! You might find it like me though, where you asked, you suggested that Pentel brush pen for me, and I hated it at first, but now I really love it. So you might find that after a while you start to get to know how it works, and you start to feel it more, and you might start to enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I was only using it came with a blue cartridge, so obviously I'd rather use black.
Yeah.
But I wanted to test it, see if I liked it first. But I found it a bit scratchy. It didn't the ink didn't flow really well, and I found I just wasn't that impressed.
Oh wow, really? See, mine flows really well. It depends as well on the paper you're using. If you're using paper with a tooth, then it's going to scratch a bit. But
no, it hadn't got a tooth. It was smooth.
Do you think you just need to work it in a bit? I think
it might be that. It might be because I hadn't used it, hardly at all. Or it may be I'm holding it at the wrong angle or something like that.
Yeah, I think with anything new, it takes a while to get used to it.
Yeah. Because I did like the idea of, because I quite like using a dip pen, but I do like it then because it misses and it gives a quirk to it. So yeah, I'll have another go, but yeah.
But even with a dip pen, I mean, I use a dip pen to draw cartoons with, and I only like certain nibs.
Yeah.
I like the flexible ones, but I don't want it to be too flexible, and the ones that aren't flexible are just scratchy to me. So it's about finding what works for you and your style, I think.
Yeah, so I will persevere with it, but
yeah, try again.
I'm undecided at the moment.
Yeah.
But as well as that, do you know what, this is funny because our last podcast was all about drawing and sketching people, wasn't it? And we talked about online live drawing.
Yeah.
And that inspired me to book a class. So I booked an online live drawing class on Sunday, so the day after we did the Zoom call, and I really enjoyed it. But oh my god, I was rusty. Well, what I really like the quick sketches, and she didn't actually do any in this session. It was like 5 minutes and upwards, whereas I love doing the 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, that sort of thing. But it really did take a while to get started. And I'd started off on a relatively small square sketchbook. And I know they always say go big or life drawing, but this was probably, I don't know, 210, no, not even 210 square, maybe 190 square, something like that.
Yeah.
And I did one, and I just totally misjudged, so I hadn't got room for his feet. They were terrible. And obviously concentrating on the other bits, wasn't I?
Flower, how long did that take?
I know. Then I got a bigger sketchbook out, and obviously still couldn't get the feet in because I was still concentrating on the other bits. No, I did. Then I got the feet in fine, and it was good. I just felt more like I'd got more freedom, just going slightly bigger. So it's in between A4 and A3. I went next, but yeah, I did enjoy it, and I want to make that a regular thing now. I want to sort of do it at least once or a week or a fortnight, I think, do a class, because otherwise I'm going to lose what we'd gained when we were going out. I'm going to lose that.
I mean, I think once you've gained something like a skill, you can get rusty if you don't practice it, but I think it's then easier for it to come back when you take it up again.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do get rusty. I think it's like muscle memory, isn't it? You know, once you've been, you know, you've had biceps. Not that I've ever had biceps.
Never had biceps, no.
No, but, you know, it's easier to tone up again if you're, you know, a year later if you've already had that. And with drawing, I think it's the same. But I know what you mean, because I haven't drawn outside. Well, we've been in lockdown pretty much on and off since, well, for nearly a year now.
Yeah.
And certainly in all of that time, it's not been the right time to go out and sketching outdoors anyway. So I haven't done that for a long time now. But I mean,
I did once in the summer, but it was only drawing buildings rather than people.
Yeah, it's
not the same.
But
I know we did it a couple of times, but it just buildings.
But I think as long as you keep the hand-eye coordination up, then, you know, you're not going to get too rusty. So even just drawing whatever, it doesn't matter as long as you just keep up your skills. But to be honest, you know, obviously we're coming up to February. It's been Christmas, hasn't it? And it's always a bit of a slow start, I think, to come out of that and get back into things, I think, especially at the moment.
Yeah, I want to as well, because I know whenever I do live draw or anything like that, or when we go out in London, I always stick to black and white, and you do as well in general.
Yeah.
And I really want to start using colour.
For me, I think colour would be something I would add maybe later on, because my thing about sketching outdoors, I just want to get down what I see. The one thing I would do is, you know, where we used to go and sit and sketch those musicians and things like that.
Yeah.
People really moving around, and I think I would be happy to do some watercolour on something like that, where I'm sitting and watching someone for a while. But when I'm, say for instance, when we used to go to Trafalgar Square and we just sit and draw the people, you know, on the benches and things like that, I just want to get the people down, and I can always add colour later on. But I quite like it when people just add colour in certain areas and leave a lot of white. So I might experiment with that next time.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah.
Although I can't imagine ever coming home and adding colour afterwards.
No.
I think for me the moment would be gone then,
Yeah,
so.
I don't really mean necessarily that. I mean, once I've got everything down, even if they've gone, just to sit and play with the sketch afterwards and add some colour afterwards, you know, just to areas.
Yeah. You did that actually, because that one that got rained on, I remember when we were sitting in that cafe, you were adding a little bit of colour to cars and stuff, weren't you?
I think I just added some red to maybe a post box and a car, and it seemed to work really well.
Yeah.
Just it was 2 spots of red, but it just made all of the difference. I think it just spoke of London because of the red, you know, with all the red, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I suppose that leads quite nicely on to what we're talking about today, which is using your sketchbook to explore and have fun. And with the kind of sketchbook flip-throughs that you sort of see nowadays on social media, you know, it's easy to think that a sketchbook should be this work of art in itself, but it's really, really not the case. And besides, those sketchbooks that you see online, they're often by someone who's mastered a particular style or technique, and they keep their sketchbook purely for that purpose. sketchbooks like that are made to be shown. And even when artists just show random but beautiful pages from their sketchbooks, they're showing it because they're pleased with the result. That doesn't mean that all of the other pages are as successful or as beautiful. And of course, they're not necessarily going to show the sketches that just didn't work. So when it comes to sketching, don't be intimidated by what you see online, because remember that life online is highly edited. I mean, take this podcast, for example. It's only because I'm so good at editing that I managed to make Tara sound like she knows what she's talking about. But she doesn't really know what she's talking about.
I don't. I really don't.
Yeah, but what's your take on it anyway about these sketchbook flip throughs that you see?
Well, that's why I really wanted to talk about it, because I was looking through some of mine, and actually, maybe we should start a project called the Imperfect Sketchbook Flick Through.
Oh, yes. I like
So
that.
if anyone dare do it and call it the Imperfect Sketchbook, something like that. Hashtag the Imperfect Sketchbook.
Or perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, we'll have to... Yeah, I don't know if that's already gone. We should have. We should have. I've only just thought this, but we should have checked out a hashtag, shouldn't we?
What we'll do is we will try and create something, and then we'll get back to you.
Yes. Next podcast. Should we have a quick talk?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
So, but that means we're going to have to flick through our imperfect sketchbooks, obviously.
It's funny you should say it though, Tara, because interestingly, recently, I can't remember why you asked me to do it, but you asked me to send you some drawings from old sketchbooks, maybe some. Oh, I think it might have been for our last episode, which was about drawing and sketching people, wasn't it?
No, I only wanted 1 or 2. You sent me about 100.
Yeah, I'll just send them all. You can choose. But it was quite interesting because I had to go back and look at some old sketchbooks because you were sort of saying, maybe a life drawing picture or something, and I don't know. And I remember I have sketchbooks I remember putting in my cupboard and thinking, oh God, that'll never see the light of day. That's an embarrassing sketchbook. Oh, that's awful. And it was really funny because I really did not like those sketches or those sketchbooks at all. They were just a means to an end. They were a method of practice, really, and that was it. But what was interesting is when I got them out, as I was looking through them all, I was like, oh, this is really fun looking through this stuff. It really takes me back. And no, not everything was perfect, but funny enough, I'd drawn this person. I'd drawn this woman amongst a few other sketches that I'd done on the same page, and I think I was pleased with the other ones, but this particular face I'd drawn I felt was absolutely horrendous. And so what I did is I used that I used that as an excuse to draw another drawing on the same page of a hand pointing at the sketch, saying, and on I think above it I'd put something like a hideous sketch or something like that. So I'd kind of drawn attention to it, and also attention to the fact that I know it's bad. I don't need anyone to look at it and go, God, that's bad. But funny enough, when I was flicking back through the sketchbooks, I found this sketch and I thought, I don't know really what was wrong with it. It was all right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How odd.
And I was like, oh, was it that bad? I don't think it was that bad, So it's interesting, and just going through them all, I was like, wow, these aren't that bad at all. They show a history of stuff that was going on, and I could tell how I was feeling. It was great, really good to look through. So don't ever throw a sketchbook away if you don't think it's good, because I guarantee in a few years' time you'll look back and you'll think, oh, I haven't seen this book for ages. It'd be fun.
Yeah. So anyway, what I was saying was, when I look at sketchbooks, it is quite intimidating. You see all these beautiful, beautiful sketchbooks, and you start to think that's what sketchbooks should be like. And yet, if you flick through mine to look at some of the sketches, you would think that I had absolutely no drawing talent, at all. Zero. I couldn't draw anything. It doesn't look cohesive. It looks scattered. There's bits of me trying something, bits of me trying something else. But the only sketchbooks I've got that actually look like they are more together are ones I did for our February Faces challenge. So then I've got this one topic, faces, and the whole thing is just a little, and I think little sketchbooks make it easier to do that as well. So you've got a small, like A5 sort of sketchbook, and each one's a face. But my others, it'll be one page you'll turn, and there's this attempt to doodle a character, and then you'll turn the page, and I've tried to do an abstract face, and then at the side of it, I've doodled something with a biro, and then you turn it over, and then there's me trying to draw Kevin. Do you know what I mean? And then there's I've tried to do something else, just completely scrappy. But the weird thing is that people like different things. So I wouldn't show people, although it seems like we're going to show people a lot of my sketchbooks. But Kevin was having a look. I don't know why we do it, but I suppose there's nothing to do, is there? So we were sitting one night, and he was just having a look through my sketchbook. I was showing him one. And there was this page, and he goes, "Oh, I love that. I would have that on my wall." And it was the most hideous thing you've ever seen.
I'd be really interested to see this
It's
sketch.
awful. And all it was I'd been playing around with some like markers. I got some watercolor markers, Winsor and Newton ones, and I hadn't used them for ages. So I was messing about with them, and I'd drawn this weird face. It was when I was trying to overlap faces, so I'd have a face and then there'd be an animal coming out of it, I think. But it was hideous, this thing. But he says, "I love it." So it just shows you that even though you think you've got a hideous sketch, it doesn't mean everyone else will think that's a hideous sketch.
I think as well that you're quite self-critical, because I remember when we did that Zoom sketch and chat session, and afterwards I said, "Oh, what did you do then?" He goes, "Oh, it's horrible. I haven't drawn for so long, and it's really stiff." And you showed it to me, and I thought, "Oh, I love it. It's great. I loved it."
Oh,
So
no,
it's just
they were stiff. They were stiff.
And but that just goes to show you're an experienced artist, and you even get those. You even look at your drawings and think, "Oh my, I could have done so much better." So, I think a lot of people are very self-critical about their sketchbooks, aren't they?
But yeah, but with a sketchbook, the funny thing is, you're not even supposed to be creating a perfect drawing, are you?
No, of course not.
That's not what it's about.
No. I mean, you wouldn't expect an author's first draft of a book to be perfect. So why should we treat a sketchbook any different? It's just a place for initial ideas to see what works. And if you think about someone who might be writing music and playing a bit of music on the piano, trying to work out what notes go well together, and the first melody will probably not be right. It's just, and you have to work on these things. And
they'd have crossings out all over the place, wouldn't they? Where they've changed their minds, scribbled something out, written notes, changed the lyrics.
But you're talking about, really, aren't you, a sketchbook that you've got where there's no consistent theme to it. So you haven't done, a sketchbook full of faces, or a sketchbook full of Kevins, or a sketchbook full of dogs, or whatever. And this is where I think I'm like this with my sketchbooks. I'll have a sketchbook, like a sketch of a horse on one page, and then I might have a face on another. But actually, I find those more interesting, to be honest. But you should always have at least one sketchbook, which is just a place to experiment and do what you like on every page, and not to be afraid of the results, and not to think, "Oh, I've been doing nature in this sketchbook. I don't really want to now go to still life." It's often those experimental pieces and those experimental pages and sketchbooks like that can lead to something interesting later on. You just got to think of it as jotting down ideas on any page you like, and just seeing what works. Not everything is going to look good, and that's absolutely fine. Sometimes it's like I say before, the imperfections in a sketchbook that make it much more interesting anyway.
And I think sometimes it's following a train of thought, isn't it? Because like you were just saying, you try something, you're experimenting with something, and then you'll think, "Oh, I don't really like that, but that's kind of interesting." So then that sets you off on another tangent then.
Yeah.
Tangent then. So then you try that out, and then you develop, but that's why it doesn't look that cohesive, because you might have tried something, even if it was a technique, or, I don't know, rubbing pastels over some other material, whatever, and you think, "Oh, I hate what I did there, but I'm going to try doing that with this in this way." So it doesn't look the same, but it's led you to something new.
Yeah.
And I think you can also use your sketchbook to collect inspiration. Well, a bit like that, you're trying out different things, but you could also collect memorabilia. So, like labels, tickets, colour swatches, photos, or fabric. You included a wrapper in something, didn't you? Was that a drawing on a train or something?
Yes, I did actually. It was a Mars bar wrapper.
Yeah.
And it was, then I drew it as well because I was really cross because I'd got on a train to London and I'd bought a Mars bar because I was just needed something sweet. And I remember being absolutely horrified that this Mars bar was extortionate. I needed a second mortgage to buy this Mars bar. And just because it was on a London train station, it was probably 3 times the amount it should have been. And I was so emotionally, what's the word? Like, I don't know. Maybe that's a bit
Enraged.
Yes, enraged by it. That I had to. That was the first sketch I did. I thought, right, I need to draw this Mars bar label, which I did, and then I included some text about how annoyed I was that this blimmin' Mars bar was so expensive.
Other people make these big political statements in their art.
Yeah,
You complain about Mars bar prices.
yeah.
Yeah. I know I've experimented with receipts as well, so I've just drawn over bits of receipt, and I think I did a coffee drawing. Do you remember we were doing some sketchbooky stuff? And
Yeah.
I did one. Was that over? I think it was over a ticket, a receipt, or something like that.
Yeah.
Coffee shop receipt, and then also over bits of coffee rings.
And then you drew inside them, didn't you?
Yeah, I used them as like circles to contain drawings as well, so they became part of the layout of the page. But you can one thing I used to have a real thing for yellow paper as well.
You did?
Yeah, I had a major thing for, like, especially tearing out a bit of yellow paper and putting it in a face for drawing, especially. But I did it in some of our buildings as well. I don't know what it was. I've sort of gone over that a little bit at the moment. But you can also try cutting up bits of magazines or old catalogues and leaflets and stick them down and use them in your art. And I did this. You probably didn't see this, and they weren't good by any means, but I was quite down when the lockdown first happened. My head was all over the place.
Yeah.
And so Kevin had some old Stuff magazines, which is like a gadget and tech magazine. So like all trendy hi-fis and stuff. And I was cutting bits out of that and then making them into characters. So these weird speakers might become a little character's feet. And the page looked terrible, but it was just fun.
Yeah.
And that could lead to something else. So, I like the idea of incorporating that stuff. And even though I didn't like that page, the theory's kind of good, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you can also do stuff like that. You could just download something online that you see and use bits like that as well. I've also recently ordered some free clothes catalogues. I don't know if I told you about this.
No.
So stuff like, I come with a Land's End. I don't even like these clothes for these companies, but they do free clothes catalogues, just little ones. I thought, I'll order some of those just for chopping up. So,
I've tried it a little bit in the past, cutting up bits of magazines, but what I found, well, not so much magazines, but collage bits of paper and things like that. And what I found, though, is that the mediums that I like to use in my sketchbook sometimes really did not work well on the papers I was sticking down, and so I didn't get on with doing that. No. But what I do like the idea of is if you look at Lewis Rossignol's sketchbooks, he's sometimes he has like a Polaroid photograph of an old person or something like that, and he just put he'll add legs to the bottom of the photo, really long legs. And I just think I'd do something like that. But sometimes actually drawing over the paper doesn't necessarily work. But going back to what you were saying about coffee, you used your coffee stains, didn't you? I used to, years ago, because I'd have this white sketchbook, pristine white sketchbook, and I'd draw in it, and if it wasn't a good drawing, I'd be mortified, or if I got a smudgy fingerprint, I'd be upset. If I'd spilt coffee on it, I'd be horrified. But don't worry if you get a coffee stain on it. I mean, I'm not being a hypocrite here, because I feel totally different about my sketchbooks nowadays. Now I've got to grips with what it's meant to be. I don't care if it's got a coffee stain on it, or if it's covered in smudgy fingerprints. Remember, if somebody in the future sees this sketchbook and you're no longer around, it's those imperfect things that will help them connect with you and get a proper sense of you and your life and what was going on around you. And you don't get that from a highly polished sketchbook. And going back to Louis Rossignol's sketchbooks, his aren't just full of just sketches. And one thing I will say is I have sometimes got intimidated in the past by people's beautiful calligraphy handwriting.
Oh yeah.
It's an art form in itself. And then of course I add my chicken scrawl to my sketch, and I think, that's just ruined it. But Louis Rossignol, his sketches are full of writing, and yet some of it's really difficult to read, but somehow it kind of just seems to add character to the sketch itself. It's not meant to be legible. It's not meant to be perfect. I suppose it's meant to leave you asking questions about what it says. And it's
almost like graffiti, isn't it? It's almost like that rough street sort of art feel.
I love it when people add text to a sketchbook. But again, like I said before, online they'll add text in the most gorgeous handwriting, but ignore it. It doesn't matter if it's chicken scrawl. It doesn't have to be perfect or even readable. You use your sketchbook not just for sketching, but to make notes, to scribble down your thoughts, your ideas. I've used mine sometimes to scribble down titles for future paintings, possible titles and ideas, and to test colours. Some people use their sketchbooks to scribble down feelings, smells, noises, or anything that's going on around you that will help to evoke a memory of where you were in the moment.
I just wanted to go back and say that if anyone wants to check out, we have actually got a podcast with Louis Rossignol, haven't we? And he talks about his work and where some of the ideas come from.
Oh yeah.
So you can also use your sketchbook to make thumbnails. Now these are just small drawings that you use to work out compositions and ideas, and they're really quick to do. So if you're maybe you're working on a painting, or you're just working on another sketch and you can't get it to look right, draw something really tiny. So maybe just like a few centimeters square or something. And then you work out that, and then you can draw it full size. And weirdly enough, somehow seeing it small does help you work things out. I don't know why. But sketchbooks can also have multiple different purposes. It doesn't have to conform to anyone else's idea of what it should be. Like one of my sketchbooks I had the most fun with was sparked by watching a video by Chris Riddell. Now, do you remember we were trying to get him on the show?
Yeah.
I think you sent me this video to watch. And he's basically talking and drawing at the same time. And he's saying, if you don't know what to do, just start doodling and seeing what happens. So I got out this new, fresh Sea White sketchbook, one of my faves. Nice, biggish one, hardback. And I just started doodling, like he said, on the front. And I was thinking, this is going to be rubbish. But they're my favourite few sketches of that sketchbook, because I ended up drawing, I drew some little pigs. Well,
this is what he does, isn't it? A lot of his characters are created by just making marks and seeing what happens.
And I think there were little pigs driving a train, and there was a woman running away because it was chasing it, or something really bizarre. But then I got into this kind of character style and that I really liked, and the weird alien-y type men that I draw sometimes.
Yes,
like the head full of rubbish. I think
do.
That sort of came from another step of that, just from doodling, and just from letting my pen go free, and just seeing what happened and let something pop out. And I loved that. That was, I think it's influenced what I do now. Actually, seeing that. It's all down to you. Tell me about that. You can also have, different sketchbooks. So you can have a scrappy one for trying out ideas. But then if you wanted, you can have more of the portfolio one, the more finished one on that one topic or that one medium.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So I'd also recommend keeping a secret sketchbook. Padlock it. if necessary. Treat it like a diary. You wouldn't expect someone to read your diary, would you? So, your sketchbook can be just as private. And I remember actually going back to what you were saying about Chris Riddell, we did have him on the show, didn't we? I think it was
Yeah, we
episode
did.
72, and he recommended keeping a secret sketchbook as well. So even a really established and brilliant sketcher often will keep some of their sketches private.
Yeah, I mean, another sketchbook I had a lot of fun with was one where, well, the whole sketchbook isn't like this, but it started off like this, was where I draw a shape, see what it looked like, and then make it into something. Inevitably, mine would end up as characters or faces, because that's the things that I love drawing. But you could just draw a random shape and make it into anything. It could be a still life, it could be just a complete abstract, it could be a landscape. And it was this sketchbook that really got me thinking about the perfect, imperfect type of thing. And one of the weird things is when you create a sketchbook like that one where I started doing these random shapes and they became things, and I really liked them. And I did about, I don't know, maybe 15 sketches, and I'm thinking, oh, I really like this. I like this sketchbook. And then you get this little bit scared to try anything new because you like what you've done so far. And it's very hard to break from that, because if you just carry on doing that, you never learn anything new, do you? You never stretch yourself. And so I did then start experimenting with, adding some colour to things and trying things out. But it still irks me a little bit, because I look through it and think, well, I like it up to there and I don't like that one. But I'm glad I did it, because those colour and messed up experiments then led me into new things that I do like.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's right. Don't be precious is what you're saying, isn't it? Because anything can happen.
Yeah, but it's hard, isn't it? After you've done a set of drawings in a sketchbook that you liked,
yeah, and then
it's then hard to break or be prepared to try something new.
Yeah, definitely, because you're almost thinking, I'm going to spoil what's already
Yeah.
here, But I remember feeling like I had to make every sketch into a perfect little drawing, and it was only when I got over that and just started scribbling and hoping for the best, I realised how much more fun I was having and how much more quirky and energetic my sketches were becoming. And, if you just don't know how to loosen up your drawings, then just by doing something as simple as holding your pen or pencil differently can really help. Start drawing with your hand at the end of the pen and hold it quite loosely so you don't have so much control, and you'll be surprised at just how different that feels and how much looser your sketch will appear. Or it'll give it a completely different feel.
I absolutely love doing that. I did that with a load of faces, and you just, because you have no control, you make extra lines than you probably would have otherwise, because you make a line and then you alter it, if you know what I mean.
It's full of accidents, isn't it?
It is, yeah, because you can do that, like you're saying. So you could start off with this really loose pen held at the end, you draw something, but that doesn't mean you have to stick with that loose line. You could then go into it, and then you can say, oh, okay, I want to make that a stronger line now. And then you put your hand closer to the end of the pencil to have more control. So you then got best of both worlds. You've got those quirks and those things happening, but then you can tighten things up and add stronger lines and things like that. I think that works really well, that technique.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
You can also add, like you were saying before, text to a drawing. But it doesn't have to be just about your day. It could be something funny. So you started off with this with like Felicity Fizz, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I don't know, do you get the line first or do you get the...
No, I don't really know how anyone who doesn't know who Felicity Fizz is, by the way, we should probably explain. I just created this little character called Felicity Fizz, and I put her on Instagram, and she is, I suppose, a lot of people say, is it you? Is she really you? But I suppose I just draw on things from my life, perhaps. She had COVID the same time as I did, that kind of thing.
She's an exaggerated you, isn't she?
She's a very different side of me, maybe a younger me. But we're actually going to do a podcast episode, aren't we, on creating cartoons and a bit about Felicity on there. So watch out for that one. But I don't know where I was going with. Oh yes, you were asking me, weren't you, what happened? So whatever I'm drawing, it's because I'm thinking what she's thinking. It sounds really weird, doesn't it? But it might be, at the moment, there's a lot of boredom going on, isn't there, because of lockdown. And I think, we're at the stage now where we're just like almost resigning ourselves to the fact that we're never going to go out again. It's kind of got to that stage. And so, I did a drawing. Oh, that's right. Me and Paul were saying, well, thank God for Netflix. Thank God for Netflix. So this lockdown, because really, it's funny. You can have Sky and you can have a million channels, and you still can't find anything to watch. But usually there's something on Netflix, and we were just talking about that. And so the next day, I had her. I literally just drew her feet up on a coffee table, with her remote control, changing channels, and it literally just said thank God for Netflix. So I think it's something I might hear or think, and I think of that, and I think of a drawing that will go with it.
Yeah, but then you can kind of exaggerate, can't you? You can exaggerate your life almost.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But it doesn't have to be funny though, does it? I mean,
No.
yours are funny, but it could be something sentimental, or it could be simply a record of a time and a place and what you were thinking.
But I like the ones you used to draw, because I know you still do sometimes, but you did one, we were talking about earlier, where you were sketching people, and one of them had, like, his head had fallen open and it was full of newspapers, and I think it was down to the fact he'd been listening to too much news.
Yeah, that was actually from years. I had the idea years ago, and I redid it. But head full of rubbish.
Head full of rubbish.
Watched too much news.
But your one-liner with it was something like a head full of rubbish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or something like that. And you had another one with some welly boots in it. What was that one? You had a one-liner that went with that, and it was funny.
I had a welly boots once, and I put.
Something like
thank you for washing my. Oh no, I had something ages ago where I'd put a pair of boots. Thank you for cleaning my boots, Kevin. P.S. They're dirty again.
Oh, that's it. That's right.
I just put silly things like that.
But those one-liners, they can be meaningless to anyone, but meaningful to you, can't they?
Yeah, I mean, no one else is going to find that very interesting. But I also did one. I've done drawings before, not so much in a sketchbook. I did some character of like a girl, and then she had like a handbag hanging from her eye, and it said
that sounds painful.
Yeah, but it was like, I can't remember what hanging from her eyebrow. There was like this handbag, and it said the only designer bags she had were the ones under her eyes.
Yeah, see, I love things like that. Yeah,
just silly things like that.
Yeah.
But another thing you can do is to go back to an old sketch and add to it. It could be as simple as going back and adding some stronger line work, or add in some extra colour, or some collage, or paint over the top. And obviously you don't want to do this if it's a sketch that you absolutely love.
No.
But I've done it. I've gone and looked at stuff and I thought, oh, it's a bit drab. Yeah. I've gone and put some stronger line work in, and it completely lifts the drawing, and I actually like it afterwards.
Yeah.
But it can also go the other way if you make it even worse.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose with the collage thing, if you create a page that you really don't like and you just can't live with it, then you could collage over the top of it. Or like you say, draw over the top of it. Or you can just, tear it out. It's not a big deal, Actually, I know. I said it. I said those words. You just tear it out.
You never used to do that.
No, I mean, to be honest, if you can't live with someone and it doesn't matter. I would advise not to tear something out for a long time, though, because like I said the other day when I was looking through those sketchbooks, there was things I thought were awful, and I didn't. I thought they were okay. And you've got to remember, it's not just you. One day these books will be something somebody years to come, maybe your great-grandchildren will be picking up going, and they won't be thinking, that's a bad sketch. They'll be thinking, my great-nan did this. This is amazing. Fancy being able to find something like this. But, just, if you hate something that much, like Tara does sometimes, add another element to it. And you can sometimes make something you really don't like into something that you really do. But, like I say, don't be too quick to judge. Because, as you said earlier, Tara, as well, about Kevin loving the sketch you hated. And I've done sketches in my book that I've looked sideways at, but you've loved. And often what can happen is something you really don't like now, you can feel completely different about when you view it through fresh eyes or through somebody else's eyes. So my advice is, when you finish a sketch, don't tear it out just yet. Turn the page, just don't look at it again until you finish your book.
Yeah, I mean, I've had sketchbooks. I have literally thrown the whole sketchbook away.
Oh,
But
that's terrible.
no. But it's not because I'm embarrassed about it. It's just because they did what I wanted them to do.
Yeah, they were a means to an end.
They were just practicing doing stuff, and I didn't particularly like the stuff. And it was done and finished, and that was it.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. Yeah.
Anyway, shall we go on to our answers to our previous question?
Go on then.
Okay, so our previous question was, I can't believe you wrote this one. Aside from cooking, what is the most creative thing you've either done or seen done with a vegetable?
You looked sideways at that question, didn't you? But we had some great answers.
Yeah. Shall I kick them off?
Go on.
We have got art by Jackie P, and she says potato cut printing at school. Great fun. Everybody did that, didn't they? The old potato printing. Yeah. But she also shared some really clever images from Pinterest. There was a face made out of vegetables and a poodle that was really clever, made out of cauliflower.
I love it. I've got Adrian Sutherland, and she says, I used to make penguins out of olives and cream cheese for my then step-grandson. And I wouldn't have been able to picture that, but she did actually include a photograph, not of ones she'd made, but I think on Pinterest, something like that. And they were really cool.
Can you imagine how long they'd take to make?
I know, but great way of getting kids to try something new.
I've got Krista Crescenzo, and she says, I boiled some avocado pits to make watercolour.
Oh, right.
Never heard of that.
No, me either. No. Pixie Floodhammer, printing with cauliflower as they are, make great foliage texture. And that's a really good idea. And also, I noticed somebody else, I only noticed this last night, it's an extra one, Gabriella Sawford, she says, I've used a corn on the cob for mark making. So, yeah, textural purposes.
Yeah. I've got Catherine C. Slater, and she says, not done by me, but I remember as a child seeing my father decorating the sitting room walls with a floral pattern done with potato prints. But she was saying, because I thought I couldn't really imagine what that'd be like, but she said it looked really good because her dad was a real perfectionist.
Yeah. I can't imagine ever wanting to put potato prints on my walls, I must admit, but yeah.
No, I remember our first house. I remember doing sponging.
Oh, yes!
It was horrendous. It looked awful.
Do you know, it's funny. It was a thing, wasn't it? And I remember my sister when she moved into her house and she asked me to help her paint her walls. And I remember she had like a picture rail going halfway down the wall. And then underneath, I did rag rolling.
Oh, yeah.
So you do one shade and then you do another and you just roll a painted rag over it. And at the time it was like, oh, this is really cool. Now I think it's very 90s, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh my God. Because I remember it was green. It was like a mint green paint and then a sponge white on the top. So it was a mottled. It's like, ugh.
So I have got MUK74. It's either that or IMUK74, I'm not sure. But snowman decoration, of course.
Yeah. I've got Creative Rager, and they say, not a vegetable. My sister gave me a banana with my name on it as an award for dancing badly. A Bammy for best choreography. It went black after about 4 days later. That's so good.
I've got Vecna Optimistica. Is bento or decorated food considered cooking or carving? I used to carve carrots so that when you chop them crosswise, they were hearts instead of circles. Fun in the soup. And I remember you asked, didn't you, what bento is? And I didn't know what it was either. And apparently it's like a Japanese soup.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Did you not read her answer?
Oh, I missed that. It's because if you've looked at it, it doesn't alert me. Yeah. So it's your fault. I've got Mag Grey Art, and she says pumpkin carving at Halloween. I'm not that good at it myself, but people do amazing things with a pumpkin.
Okay, and I've got Leo La Panda. Using plaster in cabbage leaves, it makes an interesting texture and the pattern of a brain. Yeah, I reckon I've got a brain like a cabbage.
I reckon you have as well.
Thanks.
I
reckon your brain is like a ball of string that's been undone and played with for a while by a cat.
Probably, yeah, probably right. I've got Sue H.C. Watson, and she says, I've seen a carrot carved into a flute, which was then played on. This is or was a vegetable orchestra.
Actually, I now she said that, I remember, I don't know when it was at school or something, where somebody made a recorder, like a flute, but a recorder with a carrot, and they actually played it. It was really cool.
Yeah, that does sound good.
Yeah. Jo Richardson, she says, Tara may remember this. Many years ago, when we were at college, one of the projects was to create something based on the 7 deadly sins. I chose envy and gluttony and made a booklet with this as one of the pages based on the work of the artist Archimboldo. Well, hopefully you do remember that, Tara, because none of that makes any sense to me whatsoever. Do you remember it?
I kind of remember the project, but I don't remember doing it or anything.
Is this a graphic design thing then?
Yeah, this must be more a design college together. But Jo showed a picture, and basically she's made this face.
Oh, Jo, you went to college with Jo?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I get it. Right.
Yeah, I went to college with Jo, and Jo showed a photo in our group with a face that she'd made out of food.
Oh, wow.
And I kind of remember the 7 deadly sins as a project theme, but I have no idea what I did for it, and I wouldn't remember. But yeah, long time ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you got another one?
Yeah, I've got Kiss to Cook.
Oh yes, so you have. Sorry, I nearly said that one for you.
Yeah, I'm used to that. Yeah, carvings. LA Thai Festival has the most beautiful carvings of food.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when we went to Thailand. They were brilliant at that kind of stuff. Amazing.
It looked like a load of flowers. It was amazing. She'd shown a photo.
So we have got a brand new question for you, which is, if you wanted to hide a secret sketchbook, where would your perfect hiding place be? So if you wanted to hide a secret sketchbook, where would your perfect hiding place be?
So where would you hide it?
Oh, I haven't thought, actually. I need to think about this one, because if I'm going to have a hiding place, it's going to be so good. Mind you, I've done things like this before, and then I've forgotten where I've put something. I've put something in such a safe place that I've forgotten where I've put it, and I can't find it.
Oh well. Okay, so as always, you can post your answers in the Facebook group, which you haven't joined. I suggest you do. We'll put the questions up there, and also on the Facebook page, and of course on Instagram, which is Kick in the Creatives.
So we hope that gave you the kick in the creatives that you needed, and don't forget to pop over to our website at kickinthecreatives.com to find out how you can take part in some of our upcoming creative challenges. And of course, there you can also subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're enjoying the podcast, we would be so grateful if you would leave us a little review on whatever platform you're listening to your podcast on, or even just a 5-star rating if you don't have much time. Has to be 5.
It does. And also, don't forget to check out and subscribe to our Kicking the Creatives YouTube channel, where we've got some art tip videos.
And if you do enjoy what we do and you'd like to help support us here at Kick in the Creatives, you can now support us by buying us a coffee. And you can find the link on our website. And it's even more important now than ever, because we can't go out and buy coffee. Anyway, we will be back in a couple of weeks.
Yep, see you soon.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, perhaps you'd like to share it and leave a review for us on iTunes. Back soon. And I'd recommend keeping a secret sex book. Padlock it. Sorry?
Secret sex book?
Sex? I did not say that.
You did?
I said sketchbook. Did I not say sketch? I said sketchbook.
You got sex book on the brain. I'm sure you said sex book. You got a Madonna thing going on.
Right, let me start that bit again.
I'm sure you said that. You're gonna have to listen back.
I'll have to listen back. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear the word.
Padlock on it.
Okay, let me start again.